Welcome to the Broken Agenda podcast, sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.
All right. Taking a bath right now. Just not in a good way. It's not a bubble bath. It's a gross bath. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Craig. This is Tyler. That's Jimmy. It is 9/15/2021, and today we are talking about EVs, electric vehicles. I love the topic. I am a huge Tesla fan. So not just the cars. I love Elon. I love everything about the company. I love SpaceX. So I can definitely see how this topic can go off the rails because there's so much going on in this sphere right now. But also at the same time, I definitely want to put a big fat asterisk on this episode saying that none of us are car guys. If you want to leave, I get it. But I will say that I think all of us. I don't even know. We've never even talked about this privately. I mean, how do you guys feel about electric vehicles? Are you even electric car guys?
I mean, I think they're pretty sweet.
Yeah. I mean, what makes them sweet?
Well, I'm not. They're interesting. I no gas, the maintenance, the amounts of parts that go into making them. There's something like I don't remember what I read about the amount of parts and like moving parts that go into an electric vehicle is like a small fraction of what goes into a regular vehicle. Now, I guess that's going to affect people with jobs.
Well, I mean, is there
and stuff.
There's no. Well, yeah, you can't
It's
take it to a shop.
it's interesting to see how it's really going from a gas powered vehicle to an electric vehicle, and there's nothing in the car, that some little, parts.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a couple of electric motors, a traditional suspension with some wheels, and a big old battery pack, and then a massive computer.
Yeah,
and that's really all it is. It's not super complicated. I was always fascinated by the fact that the first cars were electric. I mean,
just the history of them. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't find that out until when Tesla first came out back in the 2007, 2008, whenever they kind of hit the market. And I was doing some research on electric vehicles, and I stumbled across the fact that it was like in the 1830s, 1840s, like the first electric concepts were coming out. And they didn't have any internal combustion engines then. I mean, they were still rocking steam engines.
Yeah.
So it was kind of crazy that they have been around that long. But
yeah, I think I read that they were the preferred even when internal combustion came about.
Well, the only reason that internal combustion won was really only three reasons. One, Henry Ford, the Model T, kicked some serious bum. I mean, that thing came out, I don't remember what the exact numbers were, but like an electric car at the time was like $1,800, which in today's money is like $4.6 million or something. I don't know what it is. But the Model T sold for like $600.
Yeah.
So it was like a third the cost. So that obviously cost will drive a consumer market. The second thing though was, and we forget this, 110 years ago, if you didn't live in a city, you probably didn't have electricity.
Very true. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're still rocking horses and, you probably don't even have telephone lines yet. So how are you going to fill up your car?
Yeah.
So to have mobile power like gasoline kind of bridged that gap.
So what company? Who was building an electric car back then?
Well, Thomas Edison had his own electric car. He was a huge fan of electric cars. There was like Detroit Electric Cars was a company back then. There was a bunch of them.
There was actually manufacturers.
Yeah, they were making them.
Yeah.
They were not just in the U.S. They were making them all over the world. I mean, there was independent people making their own electric vehicles in every developed country. I mean, there was Italians were making them. They were making them in England. Obviously, the U.S. was making them. They were all making their own versions, but they were popping up all over the place.
I mean, what the technology looks like compared to now to then.
It's probably exactly the same. I have no difference.
I wonder what batteries they
probably
used.
Self-driving
I think
already.
it was lithium batteries.
It's lithium batteries. It was probably like a jar filled with cow farts and like some crazy Tesla ball shooting lightning into your. I don't know what was going on back
That was
then.
definitely the kids in the back seat. They had to pedal.
They were used.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Well, you know what I read that was the biggest killer of, or almost didn't get electric cars to take?
What was that?
The hand crank.
Oh, really?
A lot of women couldn't start the cars when they were internal combustion. And then I forget who, I don't remember the guy's name, but some dude invented the electric start.
Yeah.
And that was the third thing that killed the electric car. Because once you didn't have that obstacle, it was like, oh, well, then why would I spend 3 times as much?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Interesting.
I was fascinated by the history. I'm sure people don't care. They're probably like, we can read this on Wikipedia. We could care less. But I was personally fascinated. So here we are. No, but it's what I love about this, and I want my next car will be a Tesla, and I'm excited to have a Tesla. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet because they are expensive for the one I want, and I don't want a 3.
Which you want a Y?
I want an S.
An S.
I like the S. And every time I go to look at it, I choke a little bit on the price, and then I decide, you know what, my car's fine, and then I don't get it. I've been doing that for like 3 years now, just because I'm cheap. But the Y is cool, though. Did you know why the names are what they are?
I can. Yeah. If you go to their website, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Do you know?
S3
No,
XY.
I heard it, but I can't. I don't remember.
The S, the 3, the X, and the Y. Sexy.
Oh.
That's how they name
I
that
don't know if I
car.
heard that.
So, well, what's crazy is on the top 12 EVs in sales for 2020, all 4 models of Tesla are in the top 4. But the number 1 selling model of Tesla sold more than every other major EV car in the world. Just the one, not the other 3, just the number 1.
I mean, it's just probably my ignorance, but what else is out there other than hybrid?
Well, I don't know. Have you seen the Audi e-tron?
I did see some of the upcoming ones, but
Well, the Audi e-tron's out. And that's
Is it-
out.
is it out?
Yeah, they sold like 5,000 last year or something like that. Like,
Okay.
and that's a sweet car.
Yeah.
Porsche is actually a really high top seller.
yeah.
They make a lot there. I forget what the name of theirs is, but it's a beautiful car. I mean, and these are traditional car manufacturers. I mean, you got
Right.
Chevy makes the Bolt?
The Bolt.
Yeah, the
Yep.
Chevy makes the Bolt. Ford makes it's a Mustang, isn't it? It's an electric Mustang. I forget which one they make, but they make one that's actually one of the top sellers in the world.
Yeah, I'm not sure that one.
Nissan Leaf is one of the top
The
sellers in
Leaf,
the world.
that's right.
The Leaf's a big one.
Yeah.
But then there's a whole bunch of secondary companies that have popped up, kind of riding the Tesla wave.
There's a lot of startups that are popping up too.
There's some pretty crazy looking cars that are coming out.
Have
now.
you looked at any?
Yeah, and I had a list that I saved. I can't even find where it's at, but there was these like trucks.
Oh, are those the Rivian?
It might be.
The Rivian has 2 models of trucks, and they're pretty sweet.
They're like kind of like off-road sort of
Yeah.
looking vehicles.
They
Right?
kind of look like a hybrid between a Jeep Grand Cherokee,
Yeah.
and like a Range Rover.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet.
They are pretty sweet.
Then you
That was
have Teslas.
my favorite ones that I saw when I was going through. I went through like a list of like 30.
Well, I mean, you've seen the electric Hummer too.
Yeah, I did see that one. Yeah.
I don't know how well it worked. I mean, it's Hummer. I didn't even know they were still in business. But I mean, if it works as well as they claim, that'd
That's gonna steal the show.
be crazy.
And it looks like a classic truck to a large extent. Like if you look at,
Yep.
have you ever seen Tesla's Cybertruck?
Oh, I love this side. Well, they haven't started making it yet.
No, but the concept of it.
I have. If
Is that
they're,
the one they threw the rock? They threw the rock through?
did you see that video?
Yeah, I did.
You know what? They should use that video as a lesson on how you react to adversity in a public presentation. So, so for those of you that haven't seen it, Elon Musk says our truck is essentially indestructible. Hits his truck with a sledgehammer and it shatters. And
Well,
he
it's supposed to have bulletproof.
bulletproof glass, and the glass shatters when he hits it with a sledge. Well, no, he hit the truck with a sledgehammer and it worked. Nothing happened. And then he hit the window, and they're saying when he hit the truck, he damaged the window inside the truck, and then they rolled it up, and then it broke. Whatever. But instead of getting defensive, he just turned around. He's like, "Well, that didn't go as planned, and this is why we shouldn't do these things live." And he just kind of rolled with it, and I was like, "This is why I love Elon. Like the guy just unrattleable. Like he just kind of just killed it." I will say, if I would be willing to get that instead of an S. I think that truck is so cool. It's weird.
It's yeah. I think that's the hard part for me. It's so triangular.
Oh, I like that though.
It literally looks like this.
It looks like a moon patrol.
Yes.
It looks like a video game's having problems rendering.
Or it's rendered perfectly. I don't understand why you're being negative
Like they're
about
going
it.
to send it to
Early
space.
2000s.
I think they're going to send that to the moon.
They should send
Probably
it to the
with
moon.
Doge.
They just fill the back with Doge. They just send it up to the moon. Well, which one do they have in orbit around Mars right now? Is that the S? I think that was the S,
I think
right?
it's the S, yeah.
Yeah, they sent the S in orbit. Well, I mean, have you seen the quality ratings on those? They build
The-
them to last 100 years.
The S's and stuff.
All of them.
All of them. Yeah,
Every
I can see
Tesla
that.
is built with a rating on all components, with the exception of consumables like brakes,
Yeah.
tires, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's designed to last 100 years or 1,000,000 miles, I think,
Dang.
which is insanity. I mean, nobody's even. I can't even get a 30,000 mile warranty on a car anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're lucky if you can find that.
yeah, and they're not warranting it for 1,000,000 miles, but I mean, the fact that they rate them for that
It's gonna
level of
last
use,
that long.
it should
Yeah.
last that long. But it better last that long because, I mean, right now, those things are an environmental hazard.
The Teslas are.
The Teslas, well, I mean, pretty much all electrics right now.
Oh, just because of the batteries and stuff, or
Well, I mean, there's a couple of reasons. I get, and this is, I'm sorry if anybody watches this. I know this isn't what you want to hear because we all love the idea of EVs as an environmental solution, and eventually they will be. But right now they're an absolute environmental disaster. So you realize there's no plan whatsoever to recycle Tesla batteries.
Yeah, the batteries I think are a big issue all the way around.
Yeah, I don't think you can recycle those batteries. I mean, they're basically you just took a bunch of double A's and threw them in there.
yeah.
So the recycling issue is a big problem. You've got that going on. You have the fact that I think right now in 2019, I think was the last numbers I looked at, but the second largest method of electric energy production in the United States was coal. So if the second highest amount of energy production in the country is coal, and you're plugging your car into your wall, you're probably burning coal to fill your
burning
car.
coal.
And a high efficiency car is far more efficient than a coal power plant. So you're burning a whole bunch of coal to power your
Where is coal
supposedly
actually
clean-
being used? Like,
all over the place. Like I said,
coal-
it's second highest. It's I think it's natural gas is number one. I believe now coal may be.
but you'd have to go. I think if you're going to be around major metropolitan areas, there's not major metropolitan areas in the states that are supplying power with coal.
I don't know. We should look
Right.
it up.
I think it would be like it's going to maybe China. I mean, I don't know what their situation is.
They just brought like 170 coal power plants online in the last year, or they're bringing them online
so
now.
they're actually using coal power.
They're going all in on coal. Well, they signed an international contract saying they weren't going to use coal anymore to kind of convince everybody they were going to be the new clean, big economy. And then immediately after they signed it and shook everybody's hands and high-fived all the other countries, they went home and built 150 coal power plants. Which that's
Sounds very China.
classic China. So
I guess what I was trying to get at was most of the Tesla owners or electric vehicle owners are probably going to be closer to major metropolitan areas where that type of power isn't going to be being used.
I honestly don't know what the geographic distribution is of coal power plants. I know they're all over the place.
I say just in the U.S. alone, I'm sure we have plenty.
We've got second highest,
They'd be
Yeah, second
or
highest.
or third now. Where it's at now. I know it's been on the decline, but
where are they at? Where are coal power plants?
look them up. Yeah,
Oh,
let's find
fine.
out. I think right now the top four are natural gas. Natural gas is definitely number one, but it's natural gas, coal, nuclear, and renewables, like wind or solar, are the top four. Renewables are number four. Natural gas is number one. Coal might be number three now. I don't know. Coal might even be below renewables now. I don't know. It's been dipping,
Yeah.
especially with COVID. A lot less power is being used
Yeah.
in general. So,
So like it's a lot of the Midwest.
okay.
But there's nothing in I mean, I shouldn't say nothing, but there's hardly anything.
Well, California doesn't make power anymore. They just ship it all in from
Yep.
Nevada
You got some in like Utah,
on
They
Tesla
went-
trucks.
They went green.
and
They went green
not,
by just buying it from another state. Yeah,
They're not in like the major cities.
they're not. Okay,
I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at the first map that I pulled up.
that would make sense. I
There's a
really
lot-
don't know. So what would major cities use then mostly? Because I know does Limerick provide most of the power for Philly?
Well, like Phoenix has got a lot of gas,
bet I don't
nuclear,
know.
and solar.
Okay, well that would make
Um,
sense for Arizona.
Like LA, same thing. It's mostly nuclear. I see a lot of there's a lot of hydro out there.
Yep.
Um,
You're going to see a lot more solar in the south because it
Washington
makes a lot
is-
more sense,
Washington is loaded with hydro.
which also makes sense.
Texas has some. Well, it looks like down around Dallas, there's mostly gas. They got gas, nuclear. They got some coal looks like maybe down in some.
Gotcha.
I mean, Texas is so huge, like Austin-ish,
Okay. Well, I mean,
San Antonio-ish.
and we don't have to go through the whole country, but I mean, I would say it is on the decline, and that's probably a good thing. Like, there's really no need to use coal as a power source anymore. What really upsets me is, and I know we're going off topic here, but have you seen the new nuclear power plants?
The new ones, no.
I mean, the ones that they've designed in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
They are awesome. And I'm not going to get into it on this podcast, but they're completely self-contained in their micro reactors.
Yeah.
And they run for a certain amount of time with a preset amount of fuel for 500 years or whatever. And then when they're done, they self-seal, and they seal for 10,000 years.
And they're just gone.
Yeah, you
Done.
don't even touch them.
Don't have to touch 'em.
And they can't. They're impervious to meltdown because they don't use rods or anything. They use pellets, and the system drops pellets into the reaction chamber, and it doesn't use steam. It's powered basically more off of like space-based radiation, where it uses activity with the radiation activity to create activity. It creates electricity through resonance.
Yeah.
So, but they're just such cool. And
So that's kind of interesting.
can't melt down, make no waste.
Yeah.
Now they're not big, so you would need multiple for a metropolitan area, but who cares?
What's it matter?
Yeah, at that point, I mean, it's just, I don't know. They're cool stuff. I would love to see more of those though, and just get rid of.
Apparently, there's 2 different types of coal, 3 different, bituminous and sub-bituminous.
I don't know what any of that means.
Neither do I.
Bituminous. Bituminous.
If you can't pronounce it, we probably shouldn't be talking about it. and
And then there's an other category too. But we have apparently a lot on the East Coast.
oh yeah, look at that.
The
Is that bitchiness coal?
Well, that's all actually coal.
oh, all right.
So I mean,
Oh, we do have a lot of coal on
whoa,
the East Coast.
what happened there?
So I don't know, but we'll pull that up on the podcast in our imaginary screen that we always talk about. So that's my environmental issues with electrics right now, though. Like, I would really like to see a battery recycling program. Although what I do like though is how EVs right now are pushing battery technology forward.
Well, what about what if a battery goes bad? I mean, apparently these batteries are $20,000-$30,000.
Yeah, they're like 10 to 20 grand.
So, I
replace
mean,
battery.
So they're looking at the amount of maintenance that these vehicles need, over the life, and basically saying, well, there's like next to no maintenance, and then all of a sudden you have a $20,000, $30,000.
Well, the rating on the batteries, at least in Tesla, I haven't researched on the other stuff, but on Teslas, I think the rating is 90+%. This is not a guarantee. This is the rating on it. I don't know if they have a guarantee. We should probably look that up. But it's 90+% of capacity at full charge after 5 years. So, which means that if you can get 400 miles to a charge when it's brand new, when that battery is 5 years old, you'll lose 10%, you'll get 360. So it's somewhere in that realm. It's either 3 or 5 years, I'm not sure which. So the batteries are well made. Like, they are designed. A lot of that is the software. The software does such an efficient job of recharging the batteries that it doesn't wear them out. So, but you shouldn't have to replace the batteries that long. But I think they say you should expect to replace every 10 years. Something like that.
What I'm finding here is they're saying they're designed to last 300,000 to 500,000 miles.
On a single battery, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and if you're, so.
And they're working to develop.
I guess
that
the
last
car would be
1,000,000 miles.
shot by then, right?
No, because the car is rated for 1 million miles, I believe. So
300,000 miles.
300,000 miles, you're not going to get that out of your car now. Nobody gets 300,000 miles.
Well, yeah,
out of
the
it.
car's going to be like, it's still going to rust and have all those kinds of things happen. What are they making them out of?
The Tesla metals are impervious to rust.
Really?
Because Elon Musk personally rubs his sweat on each one.
Oh,
It seals it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what Elon Musk sweat does. That's his Musk. That's what makes him Elon Musk. He was just Elon, and then he created the Musk.
Muskify.
Yep, this is all true. So I'll write it down. No, but 300,000 to 500,000 miles. I mean, if I have a car with over 100,000 miles on it, I'm in panic mode.
Yeah. Start getting worried about what's going to start falling apart.
And meanwhile, these cars are saying, "Nah, it's still a kid.
Yeah.
You're not even in your 30s yet. Like, you're still out there, playing football in the rain."
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really is a game changer. So, I mean, we're not looking at an ecological disaster next week. And hopefully they have a recycling program for these batteries before they start getting tossed into landfills.
But is it that there is not a recycling program, or is it?
It's my understanding, and
Tough to recycle them.
they're tough to recycle.
Yeah.
I mean, you can recycle anything if you put enough effort in, but the way they're made, they're very difficult to recycle.
Are they just lithium batteries?
Yeah,
Is that they're running off?
yeah, they really. I think they're. Well, I mean, we might have to look it up, but I think they're just a whole series of basically small cell lithium batteries all working in series.
And then the mining is an issue too, where we get the lithium because we don't have. There's not
Yeah,
the majority of the lithium. I guess is coming from China, right?
it's coming from China. Well, there was a lot of lithium mines in Afghanistan. I understand.
There's
That
a
we
new
just-
product that they're looking at doing. Did you hear about that? There's a new product they want to do batteries with, not lithium.
I always see those. Is this the one where you cut it and it still works?
I'm not sure. I can't remember the dang it.
I'm going to tell you right now, the battery market is going to be the next big revolution.
Yeah.
Because everything right now is just hamstrung off of batteries. I mean, the cars now are fighting for longer battery life. Your laptop's fighting for longer battery life. Everybody's mobile. Your phone needs better battery life. I mean, everything needs better batteries. And
how-
lithium ion's good, but that's not going to be the end of it.
And
there's
so
gotta
every
be a better way
time
to do
somebody
it.
says that something is green, then there's some kind of recourse that comes around too. Because now we're going to have to start mining for all this stuff. So we're still going to be doing the same old, just new product and new, we're just going to be mining different things. And you're still going to have to go through the energy to extract.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends. I mean, there are concept batteries that are just made out of water, where they use an electrolysis. They pass it through a water molecule. It separates the oxygen and the hydrogen, and then they burn the oxygen and the hydrogen. That's kind of how rockets work in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But it becomes a very clean internal combustion engine where the input and the output is water. And they're zero emission, and you just get yourself some heavy water and you're done. So there are a lot of ways to transport power and to use electricity. There's a lot of ways that you can chemically store power. And I read up on different battery concepts. They're not just working on chemical batteries. I mean, chemical batteries are what we're used to now, but there's some really cool concepts out there. Like, for example, there's a guy who invented out, I think it was in California, who he took a gigantic, humongous stone, milled it, put it inside of an enclosure, and then during the day, when the sun is out, it runs a motor that spins up this stone, which is held in place by magnets, and it goes faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and gains all this momentum. And this thing weighs tons. And then at night, when the sun's no longer providing power, it brings in these motors, these basically brushless motors that lightly touch the stone, and the friction from the stone hitting them releases that power that it picked up all day long, and it's basically a battery. It's a battery made of magnets and stone. And there's another company that's doing where they're building pools, and they're using a solar-powered pump to pump water up during the day, and then at night they let the water run back down, and it pushes a hydroelectric motor. So these are also batteries. I mean, so we've got some really cool engineers working on some really cool concepts right now. So I would not be surprised if the future of batteries are not necessarily like lithium ion. They're not heavy metals that you've got to mine.
Yeah.
You know, it could be some crazy awesome new thing that we don't know about.
What about somebody doing something with cow manure? Is that fuel?
Like painting with it, or
Nah, they're doing
oh,
something
burning?
with-
Yeah,
Is it fuel that
Like-
they're using cow manure?
yeah, like
Fuel?
biofuels, using it to create biofuels. Yeah, they like pig manure for that a lot too.
So that's not. Oh, I guess that would be.
I
a
don't know.
combustion type.
Everybody's always got the next great idea. That one's right up there with algae. Like, everybody's going to turn manure into the next great fuel, and everybody's going to turn algae into the thing that eats plastic and everything else. The problem is pigs only crap so much. Like, there's only so much manure you can get. If you're really successful, you're also screwed. Because because there's only so much poo.
Then there'll be a shortage of fertilizer for the fields.
And then we have to raise more animals, and then the cow farts will kill the environment. Yeah, everything comes with a cost.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. It really is. So, but no, I'm excited. I think, and I kind of secretly, just because he's one of my heroes, I kind of want Elon to be the guy that comes up with the next greatest battery. Like, I want one of these these gigawatt factories that he's building. I want one of them to, with their R&D department, to come out with something just awesome.
Oh, you'd think he'd be the next one too. I mean,
I don't
got
know.
the financing to to fund the research.
He does, but how often do these things just come out of a garage?
Yeah, oh, true. Yeah.
Some dude
dude.
with a lot of time on his hands and a wife that doesn't like him. And he comes up with some crazy concept, and then, Bill Gates has him killed
Yeah.
and steals it. And that's just the way it works.
That guy's had his hands in a lot of revolutionary things, you know?
Bill Gates hasn't revolutionized anything.
No, Elon.
Oh, Elon, yes. Elon's amazing. Bill Gates just steals everything. And he's so good at stealing. I mean, that guy, he's one of my heroes too, just because, that's some quality stealing, Bill. I mean, I can't argue with it. We were talking about, hold on, before we get off topic here, there were two that I had put on my list here of alternate car companies that I really like. Have you seen Rad Power Bikes?
No, I haven't seen these.
Okay, they're electric bikes, like motorcycles,
Yeah.
and they are rad. I mean, look them up, but they're awesome. I love the idea of electric motorcycles. And I don't know, I might be too old to ride motorcycles. I probably am, but I still love the idea of them. I think they're so cool. I mean,
I was just driving behind an electric motorcycle the other day, and that thing pulled out.
yeah.
It was crazy how fast it.
Yeah, you can probably
Like,
spin up
took
pretty
off.
quick.
How did you know it was electric?
Well, you could hear it.
Okay.
I mean,
It had that whirring stuff.
yeah, you
Yeah.
could just tell.
Okay.
I guess I didn't know for sure, but I thought,
It definitely wasn't a Harley,
yeah,
though.
no, it was like quiet. It was that,
Gotcha.
that same exact quiet,
Well, and I could kind of see them being pretty sweet as dirt bikes, too. I mean, you're out in nature, and you're not just hearing your engine roaring. You can
Yeah.
actually hear what's going on around you as
Yeah.
you're,
Yeah.
as you're trail riding on a dirt bike.
Yeah,
And
that'd be
again, I'm
pretty
too
sweet.
old for dirt bikes, probably, but I still love the idea of it. The other one, and take a look at this.
Bollinger. That was the ones those are the
Bollinger?
Yeah, Bollinger.
What is that?
Those are the electric vehicles.
Oh, I never
Oh,
heard of
I
that
saw
one.
that.
Yeah,
That's right.
these things are rad, dude.
Oh, that looks like
Like
a
a
looks
Land
like
Rover.
it does look like a Hummer and a Land
Yeah.
Rover
Yeah.
got together and made sweet, sweet electric love.
Yeah, those things are sweet. You got to check those out.
That is pretty
I
cool.
guess that's what it says here. Blocky enough to make old Land Rover. Yeah,
All right, cool.
that's kind of where they got the design.
All right, you want to look something up? The last one I put on my list here, and this one I'm in love with, Rimac, RIMAC.
Probably on here.
It might, I don't know what you're looking at. It could be, but they're sports cars. And I mean,
They're really decked out, like
They're
aren't they?
oh.
Like Lamborghini-ish.
well, and there's some amazing ones I've seen. I'm a little bit of a TikTok idiot, and I do like following cars on TikTok. And there's a car person on there that does a lot of concept cars, and some of the stuff coming out on concept cars right now are just like sci-fi 2.0. Like, it's nuts. Are you looking at the Rimac right
Yeah,
now?
I've seen those
It
before.
looks like a Bugatti / Ferrari. Like, they're insane.
Yeah.
I don't even know
they're-
what they cost.
Yeah, they're nuts.
I don't know what they cost, but I mean, I don't even want to drive it. I just kind of want to like stand near it.
300,000.
That's it.
Well, that's be my guess.
Oh, we should get two.
Yeah, just that's it.
It's-
It's couch change.
yeah, I mean, come on. It's
The
not a big deal.
Lotus Evija.
If Lotus ever makes a bad car, I'll eat my hat. I mean, the Lotuses are awesome.
Dude, it looks like
It's-
Yeah.
it looks like a spaceship car out of a movie.
Well, they're all kind of looking like spaceship cars. You remember all those concept cars we saw in like the 90s and the early 2000s that never came to market because every car for like 20 years looked the same? They're all coming out now.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like I'm a car guy. I love car, and I'm not classic cars. Like my father-in-law knows classic cars. That guy's a genius with that stuff. Like he can listen to a car and tell me what it is, but not down to the year. I don't know how he does that. I like modern cars. Like I really do. And some of these are just. I think we're heading into some of the coolest times, but apparently only if you're rich. But some of the coolest times for cars ever. But yeah, you got a lot of trucks on there, and the mileage is getting good. I mean, I think Tesla is still the king on mileage, but
Yeah, I think their max is what 340 miles per charge.
you can do 400,
400.
400 if you've got the high density.
This one comes out this week. The Cadillac Lyric comes out this week.
You know what? I always read bad things about Cadillac quality. So
Really?
yeah, it's every time I look for a car, I always think, oh, a Caddy would be cool. These are look at that. Those are
Canoe.
cool. The canoe vans. Have you seen these? The canoes.
I don't think I heard them. I saw those.
Oh, they're ugly as sin. Like it looks like you're driving around in like an aspirin pill with a windshield.
perfect.
Isn't that kind of what it looks like?
Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah, it's like an Excedrin with wheels, but they're so functional. Like they're kind of awesome.
Yeah.
in a totally different way than the Rimac.
Looks like Volkswagen's got one, the ID Buzz. It's like their wagon.
Yeah, and it sells pretty well too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty popular design. I think that could make a comeback.
You're probably right.
I think people would dig that, definitely.
Yeah, there's so many cool ones out there. What I don't really understand is aerodynamics haven't changed. I mean, with the exception of the fact that
I did see the.
you saw those first.
Yeah, I did
With
see
the exception of you don't need a radiator in an electric car, there's not really. I mean, is there any difference? Why do these look so much cooler than other cars? Is there a reason for it?
Well, we're in the space age, so all the designs and the aerodynamics are totally different. So,
But I mean, but
And they have to
aerodynamics
take 'em to the
themselves.
next level.
I mean, the only thing is you don't have the engine in the front, so you can have a smaller front. But they still have a front. I mean, they still have the front trunk.
It's still
and
a
everything.
classic, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why they look so. They could have done that with conventional cars, right?
They could have. I wonder if that's going to be part of the overall adoption, is how normal they look. Like, I think.
So you think they're going to normalize these? And make
I
them
think
look
you'll start seeing, like, the first ones. Well, I mean, Teslas are pretty sleek, but
well,
I mean,
So you know
look,
what? I don't mean to argue with you, but I think the other direction.
You think so?
I think it's going to drag normal cars up to cooler specs.
I
Yeah.
can see that.
Because I mean, Hyundai's entire strategy for go to market is find a car that sells great, copy it, totally rip them off, and then sell it. I mean, for the longest time, Mazda does it too.
Yeah.
I mean, Mazda right now is ripping off Infiniti, but next year they might be ripping off Lexus. But you can buy something that looks like a Jaguar for half the price.
Yeah.
And you'll have good quality, and it's a great marketing strategy. But I think they'll go the other way. They're going to start ripping off Teslas. They're going to start ripping off.
the truck, the Cybertruck.
Well, I don't know about that one. That
I
one's.
was saying, no, like if you dropped a Cybertruck in the middle of even
I-
rural
I
Pennsylvania,
think a lot of people are going to have a hard time accepting that one.
what is this?
Yeah, that one's a tough nut. We are at break here, so let's take 5. Let's get back to this, see if we can figure out what the heck we're going to talk about for the next 30 minutes, and then we'll see you after these messages. Be back. After this, I know we ran over a little on the front. We got like 20 minutes.
Yeah, roughly.
All right,
25
so
minutes.
we are back, and I'm sure Tyler will probably leave my last rant into the podcast. So Albert, if you watch this, I'm coming for you. Yeah, it's happening. All right, so we talked about a lot of these cool EVs, and I know we don't have any graphics up on the podcast, but some of these I spelled out intentionally. Go look them up. There's some cool cars.
We can include some links in the description.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, do
that
that.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of these websites. I mean, some of them are junk. Some of them are kind of crap cars. Definitely though, put the aspirin in there.
Oh yeah, that'll
and
be
that
in there.
Bollinger.
Yeah, and the Rimac. Yeah, the Rimac is cool too. But one thing I want to make sure we don't miss talking about today, it is a little bit more in my wheelhouse. Well, I did have advantages and disadvantages on the agenda, and I think we all know like the advantages. You never run out of gas, which is awesome. And I didn't really think about how awesome that was until I was talking to a guy who drives a Tesla, and he goes, "I haven't been to a gas station in 3 years."
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Right?
That would really be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, and now when I go to a gas station, I feel a little irritated 'cause I'm like, I don't have to be here. Like, if I would just pull the trigger on the new car, like I could just avoid this place for the rest of my life. But yeah, he's like, I plug it in every night. I wake up every morning, I unplug it, and I always have a full tank of gas. And I'm like, that's
kind of nice.
It's kind of sweet.
What about fixing them? Like how many? Like that's what I wonder too. Like yeah, they say there's no maintenance, but then what about when you need to get something fixed because it's not working?
He has to take his down. I guess there's the 2 closest Tesla, and we're, for anybody who's not local that's watching this, we're kind of out in a rural area, Philadelphia, and I think there's one. Is there one in Lancaster?
That I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
There might be one in Allentown.
Allentown, maybe Harrisburg.
I don't know about Harrisburg.
I'd say
Maybe.
maybe Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
Pittsburgh and Philly. Yeah, they might
That's
be.
the more likely.
They might be the only
and then,
2.
So and then what? Then what do you keep your gas powered vehicle around? Or
Well,
you
I
got-
told Lisa Marie.
How do you get your vehicle there?
Well, they have concierge service, so they'll come and pick it up. They're going to charge you for it. They charge you for everything.
Yeah.
Or yeah, you gotta drive it down and either hang out with it, or I don't know. Geez, at that distance, get a hotel room. Like I don't know what you do.
Yeah, but I unless there's something with the warranty,
It could be a major inconvenience.
guys who are wrench heads,
Major inconvenience. So, sorry.
They'll figure out how to work on them pretty easily. You
Well, I
find a
mean,
guy,
but they
a shop.
can't. So, I mean, this is like the phone systems that we used to deal with
I
at
don't
work.
think you're allowed
Oh,
to.
they just
They're
you're not allowed
proprietary.
to.
I think you'll void the warranty.
Yeah,
right?
the whole
Yeah.
thing is a computer. So if you don't have the access codes, if you don't have the software to work on it, if you don't have the licensing rights to do service work, you're not going to be able to do anything on
Yeah,
it.
so yeah.
I mean, and there's not really any mechanical parts.
No.
I mean, think about it. You've got 1, 2, or 3 electric motors, but I mean, they last a long time, and that's it. That's the bulk of your mechanical components there. And yeah, they can probably replace the suspension if you've got a shock that goes. Obviously, you can get tires done locally.
Yeah.
I'm assuming brakes, but I mean, they are the reactive brakes. So do they just take pads? Do they require special talent? Like, I don't know, because they're those charging brakes where when you use them, they refill.
They refill the
So
battery.
I don't know if that's a special talent.
So the only thing I've ever seen, I forget, because I follow like a mechanics thing on Reddit, a subreddit.
Okay.
And there was a picture of somebody, I forget what they were trying to replace, but they had to tear apart the entire car to get to it. It was just like a little, just a cabling harness or something
Oh,
that they were
jeez.
replacing.
Well, I got in trouble saying this, but my father-in-law's a mechanic, and I made an offhand kind of joke, which apparently did not go over well, saying, "Hey, in a couple of years, I'll take your job." And I was just joking around that cars are now basically computers with wheels, and he did not smile. He did not think that was a funny joke at all. Like that was, and he's a big dude, so I got a little nervous. But yeah, I mean, most of the stuff, with the exception of brakes, tires, and a major mechanical failure, they're probably going to be able to fix through a software update.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even need oil changes.
No oil changes. There's not really any
about that.
maintenance. I mean, it's
I mean, you
it's
think
crazy.
about it, I guess it's sort of like having a TV. You know, you really don't do anything. The only time you have a problem with your TV, Comcast logs in and gets it back up. I guess it's kind of similar.
Yeah, I mean, and they do have direct access, and it is Wi-Fi enabled, your car. So, you know, as long as you're in your own garage, it's connected to the Wi-Fi, which will probably always be connected to the Wi-Fi because it runs updates overnight, like
Yeah.
your PC.
That'd be pretty sweet. They could just log right into your car, I guess, and ship you part. Well, I guess you can't even.
Well, and a lot of stuff they're probably preemptively fixing because they're releasing stuff. I mean, Tesla's update all the time. I hear that from Tesla owners, like constantly,
Yeah.
where every morning they get up and there's an update that's run overnight and they have to install it. And it's not a problem. They don't complain about it, but they do say it updates a lot. And I think a lot of that has to do with the self-driving technology. A lot of that has to do with GPS technology and a lot of the smart stuff that's built into the cars. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're preemptively fixing problems before they even appear. You know, recalibrating sensors on your cars. You know, resetting the operating system so that it's more efficient. I mean, I know that they released an update a couple of years ago that on certain older Teslas, it increased the battery capacity by like 30% because they just told the software how to more efficiently use power.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, people went from a 250-mile range to a 310-mile range overnight because they've released a software update.
It's just done.
Yeah, so it's kind of awesome.
It's crazy to think where things are going. You know, it's like technology is become like there was a point in time when I thought, well, you know, too many people would get into technology because nobody wants to do other jobs, you know, like all the generations. But really, I think technology is going to just become overwhelmingly almost the only skill set that everyone will have to have.
Well, and what I'll tell you is I find less people, well, there's a couple of things with that statement. One, people who can work on technology, really work on technology, there's almost a natural ability and innate ability that you need to have, or else it's never going to come. You're never going to get it. It's like, it's not, you can practice harder and become a mathematician. If you're not good at math, you're never going to become a mathematician. It's not going to happen. And IT's kind of like that. We run into it all the time when we're hiring. If you're not good with it, you ain't going anywhere with it. The second thing, and this is even more relevant, is there is a humongous gap between people who can work with on IT and people who can work with IT. And here's the classic example I use. You know, we have a business owner that goes, "Oh, well, you know, I thought I was fine because my 12-year-old nephew was taking a look at my computer and he's a wizard." Right. Well, he's a wizard at working with technology. He's great at downloading apps. He's really good at getting on the internet. He knows how to install Malwarebytes. I don't know, whatever. But he has no idea how to work on technology. If I told him I needed him to configure a corporate firewall, he'd look at me like I had an arm growing out of my forehead. And that gap is getting bigger. You have more and more people that consider themselves tech savvy because they're really good at Facebook. And I'm not. I'm an engineer. I'm no good at Facebook. I find that to be irritating and annoying. I don't even like learning the interface. And people always say this to me. They go, "How are you no good at Facebook? You're in IT." And my response is always, "Facebook isn't IT." That's not what it is. Facebook is a website that I don't particularly like. So, and your point is relevant, but I think that gap is actually getting weird. You've got kind of the engineers and the people that can actually do this stuff, and then the power users are getting further away, where they can only work with what the engineers show them.
And it's almost like you have to understand how all of the technology is working and communicating together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people don't. It's like when we're working. I'll bring it back to a layman's terms. If we're working on a house, like if you know how to do drywall or plumbing, but you don't know how framing's done, you know what I mean? Like you can't, unless you understand all of the trades,
Yeah.
you really don't, like you can't just send anybody into demo, because if you don't understand how a wall's laid out, or you don't understand how things, electric it might be running from the ceiling down, or it might be run, you know what I mean? If you don't have the broad perspective to be able to see the bigger picture, you're kind of like useless. I shouldn't say that. You're not useless. I don't mean it that way.
No, but you're going to be a lot more prone to making mistakes that are hard to fix.
Yeah. So
Yep.
like if to say, hey, go, think anybody could demo and rip stuff apart. No, there's still a science to ripping stuff apart, because you're going to create more work if you don't rip apart properly, if you don't understand the skeleton and what's going on underneath.
I would say that is a spot on analogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the same thing with technology and I know, like, there was a time when I used to work on technology and didn't have a problem. I could fix my computer, and then all of a sudden it was like I really had to start digging deeper. And then I was like, okay, I don't have time to dig deeper, and I just kind of like abandoned it.
Well, do you know why?
Yeah.
Because the common stuff that you knew how to fix, they built into updates to have the system fix itself. So now, when you have a problem, it's usually a bigger problem. That sounds silly, but the issues you have now with a computer are much bigger than the issues you had with a computer 15 years ago. Because 15 years ago, it was probably something that seemed big, but it was dumb and relatively simple to fix from an IT standpoint. Now the operating system does that by default. So if you have a problem that you're actually feeling, it's probably a bigger issue.
Yeah.
If the operating system can't fix it for you. So, and that's why it feels harder and harder to keep up for people, because the systems are doing more and more of the legwork for you, and by the time you're in trouble, it's beyond you.
Yeah.
So,
And then it's growing so exponentially.
And
Like,
it is
it's
growing
just
so
getting,
exponentially.
like, I don't even know where you start anymore. That's why you call the tech guys.
that's why
Call Ghostbusters.
that's why we charge inappropriately large sums of money. I mean, this is because we're awesome and we're worth it. You don't pay the tech guy for his time. You pay the tech guy for his experience.
What he knows.
Yeah. So, but back to this, what I really want, I didn't even get into what I wanted to talk about. So on the advantages, their computers, whatever. The self-driving thing. Now, I know there's internal combustion engine cars that do self-driving. What I don't fully understand is, why did this almost become synonymous with electric cars? Is it just because the computers are so much bigger in electric cars? Is it just a differentiating factor? Like, I don't know, but doesn't it seem like that?
No, you're absolutely right. Like, when I think EV, I think self-driving. But my wife's new Pilot has some assisted driving features. Like
Okay.
Keep lane and all that stuff.
I mean, the
Your hands
engine's
open.
irrelevant, right?
No, it's the
just the
computer.
computer.
Yeah. But I guess modern cars typically do have bigger computers than something from 10, 15 years ago, but I don't think they've developed as fast as what an EV computer has, because it relies so much on the computer.
I wonder how much of that is just the industry was stagnated,
Probably. It's
and
more we're doing it the right way and we know what we're doing type deal.
And these are computer guys building a car, not car guys building a computer.
Yep.
Just a different perspective. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, here, I want to ask you guys this. What is your opinion on self-driving? Yeah, Jimmy first, go. Is it good, bad? Do you want it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's dangerous? Do you think it's great?
I want to elaborate on what you guys were just saying. There's two things that I think of that come to mind. A, I think that we just reached a part where they said, well, if we're going to change it, then we're just going to change it. If we're going to go electric, then let's just go right to self-driving. So I think it was just more or less like we're evolving as
So
humanity.
just throw everything
Yeah.
in, like
Yeah.
all the ideas we
Yeah,
had that were in
exactly.
concept cars, just lob them all in there and see what sticks. I can see that.
And then also maybe like, if we're talking, electric cars don't have as many parts that can brake. So now you have, autonomous vehicles out there. If you have combustion engine stuff, then all kinds of, they break down all the time. I don't know.
Would that
Maybe
matter
had
for
something to do
self-driving
with-
though?
Well, maybe just from a reliability standpoint, I don't know if if it was more risky to have an older style vehicle.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, cars are so overloaded with sensors at this point. In theory, the self-driving would be able to identify a problem well before it reared its head.
Talking about the sensors, why does the tire pressure sensor never work?
I don't know. Who knows? It's terrible.
I hate that sensor so much. It's such a stupid sensor. Go ahead. What were you going to
So
say?
back
You were going
to
to say something.
So, I mean, that's all. I think maybe self-driving vehicles with old style vehicles is probably a little more risky than with the newer.
It may be.
computer-based stuff.
I don't know. I
It
didn't
seems to
really-
me like there would just be a lot more inherent risk there.
Now, to follow up on that, what is your opinion of self-driving?
I don't know. I mean, it seems cool. You know what I mean? Like,
It does seem cool.
well, I mean, they look at it. I guess they're running all these tests. They think that they can eliminate, accidents. They think that this could be a better way for people to live. I mean, it's moving towards an autonomous world where, you're just gonna own less and less things. I mean, you walk out your house, you're like part of this integrated system. The car shows up, picks you up, takes you, where you're going. That car is off. I think we talked about this once before. Like, there's a lot more to the self-driving vehicles than meets the eye, and that they're almost battery packs that are going to be, it's part of an integrated system. What seems to me like they're planning to do is you have these vehicles that are driving around the city. They're battery packs. They're pulling into a building. If they need charge, they get charged. If they don't need charge, they're providing power to the facility. So it's almost like, they're going to be creating these self-powered cities off of these vehicles. They're going to be part of a mobile network of just this. I don't even know what you call it.
I call it a Jimmy City. It's the city of the future. It's iRobot.
It's not my concept.
No, and you're right. It's awesome stuff. I love it for a lot of reasons that are very much more practical than futuristic. For me, I just love the idea that if enough cars on the road are self-driving, then there's really no point for a speed limit.
True.
I mean, right now speed limits are designed to keep people from going out of control and going too fast, and easing transitions from exits and everything else. But if every car knows what every other car is doing, and they're all
acting as
interconnected
one.
and talking to each other in real time, then why can't you go 120 miles an hour down the highway? I mean, especially since even if there's as much as a stick on the road, 3 miles ahead, that car that just drove over it's going to tell every other car behind it, hey, there's a stick on the road.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so I love the idea of, one, there's really no need for speed limits. Two, the fact that my car knows exactly. I mean, there's not going to be a kid chasing a ball into the road anymore. I mean, because the other cars are going to see that kid on the sidewalk, see the ball come. I mean, there could still be accidents, but I mean, within a totally. I mean, there's a lot of privacy issues with this. I mean, you've basically got an entire network of devices watching everything that's happening, but at the same time, I mean, how the heck can a T-bone even happen anymore? If the car coming one direction is reporting that it's coming that direction to the car coming this direction, they're never going to allow themselves to collide. I mean, the T-bone accident is essentially a non-existent thing anymore. I mean, there's so much that would never be a concern ever again. And don't get me wrong, I'm a driver. I love to drive, love driving. But I love the practical implications of a majority of cars having self-driving
So
capabilities.
that would mean then what would be the purpose to have race car drivers when you can go to the track and you can watch?
Well, because you still want to see somebody wreck. Look, here's something I've always wanted to build, and I'm going to need to make a few more $1 billion to do it. But I always wanted to make a full-size magnetic racetrack where you can build a hover car. I built a concept when I was in grad school. I mean, just opposing magnets, and you can use electrical charges to push it forward or to brake it or whatever. But all you have to deal with is wind resistance. There's no physical resistance. So speeds should be off the charts.
Isn't that a maglev train?
Maglev trains, but I want to do it as race cars.
As a race car. I mean,
And if you go too fast, you just fly off. And then you're dead.
like over
So there would still be a race. It would still come down to the human skill set.
Absolutely.
It would still
But you
have
should be able to
to
go so fast, you'd be driving on the outside of the track, not on the road. Because you don't have to touch the road anymore. So you should be going sideways. So, like you're passing people above and below, not left and right. Like, I'm just saying, I'd drive in that race. Why are you laughing?
I don't know. Just picturing it.
It would be amazing.
It's like Futurama's coming true.
Yeah, and I don't even like racing, but I
It'd be
would
similar
watch
to,
that.
to riding a fan boat in the Everglades.
Oh, did Jimmy show you his video?
I don't think.
He took his family out on a fan boat in the Glades,
Yeah.
and I am officially jealous. I've never been on a fan boat, and I've always wanted to go on a fan boat. And then I watched his fan boat video, and I realized it's actually cooler than I thought it was. And that never happens. Like usually you watch like a family video and like, I thought that would be cool. It looks stupid. No, it looked amazing. And now I'm
It's like
jealous.
as close as you get to a hovercraft without being a hovercraft.
Right? But I think we should also get a hovercraft.
Yeah.
So we should get a Laughing Rock branded hovercraft and
Yeah.
drive it around to events.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
You agree until I tell you you're footing a third of the bill.
We could build it.
We should build a
We
hovercraft.
should just build it.
We could build a hovercraft.
Let's get your technology really working.
Oh, I bet just a couple of fans and a motor. We build a hovercraft.
Yeah.
We'll do it on Sunday. Real quick, we're running out of time here. The other thing I wanted to bring up, so the self-driving thing I love. The other thing I love is what Tesla's doing with the charging network. And I think that's the game changer. So I think what killed EVs in the past was, electric vehicles are great unless you have to go further than 150 miles and then also come back. And Elon, in his infinite wisdom, recognized that as well. And the charging network, I own a lot of Tesla stock, and I didn't buy it for the cars necessarily. I bought it because he owns every electric gas station in the country right now.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Well, I mean, he's the only. There are other charging networks, but I mean, he's got something like 26,000 or 27,000 locations across the country for charging, and
Probably gobble up
so
Blink charging
he
stations
is
too.
dominant. Which, how is that any different than being Rockefeller, like
Yeah.
dominating oil back in the 20s?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is dominating electric. I mean, if you're going to charge, and he allows, because you pay by the watt, I guess. He allows a Nissan Leaf to plug in. Like you can have an adapter and you can plug into a supercharging station for Tesla. So he's not trying to box out his competition. He's saying, look, if you're willing to pay me, I'll let anybody charge on my. He's basically Elon Musk might replace every gas station in America, and I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, just he's got distribution, so I think that's huge.
Take a while though, right?
Imagine how long
theory,
it's going to take
gonna take a
to
long
change
time.
all
Yeah.
of that.
Well, what do you mean take a long time? Take a long time
Just to
build
start.
it?
Not necessarily. I mean, just to build the whole network. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot. Like even when we go to our, we go up to our cabin. It's 187 miles door to door. And once you get above a certain point, there's like 3 gas stations.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you'll be.
Yeah, but you wouldn't care at 187 miles because you'd
Not in
get
theory.
there and you'd plug it in,
Yeah, I guess true.
and then you'd be charged by morning.
Charged and come back. Yeah. But
Yeah.
Take a longer trip than that. Yeah, I mean, you head further up the road.
Now you're imagining some part of that, if you're going to take a further trip, is going to be on a highway, and he's got charging stations along every major highway in the country
Yeah.
right now. So you might have, it takes a little bit more planning. Look,
That's the big thing. Yeah.
And I have already told my wife, when I get my Tesla, you have to keep your gas powered car.
Yeah.
Like, and we go down to South Carolina a lot, and I'm not taking my Tesla down to South Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a 700-mile drive. I do not want to sit at a Howard Johnson's for an hour and a half waiting for my car to charge while I stare at some waitress that's like, "Do you want another cup of coffee?" And I'm like, "No, I just want my car to charge." So, I mean, I'd rather just fill the tank up and just keep going. So, I mean, yeah, there are definitely limitations.
It'd probably be the biggest gap for me. And that's actually, I have an infographic here. It's a worldwide survey. And that's one of the big things. Like, people are saying they'll look at adopting EVs when the tipping point is 31 minutes for a charge, a considerable charge to.
That's the tipping point.
That's what this survey said was the tipping point.
Interesting.
Yeah, $36,000, 31 minutes to charge.
Well, $36,000, they're there.
Which
that's
they're there,
the
yeah.
Tesla 3 and Nissan Leaf. Like, a lot of these are under 40.
Yeah. Yep, 31 minutes was the big charging thing.
Interesting. Well, I think Tesla's close. I think they do a 50% charge in like 25 minutes now.
I think that's what I saw. Yeah.
So that means that they do a full charge. I mean, it's gonna be under an hour. I mean, it's not 31 minutes, but maybe 45 minutes.
But even 50%, depending on how far you actually have to go, it's probably gonna get you there.
Yeah,
Most likely.
absolutely. No,
Even
that's a cool infographic.
Yeah, actually, I was glad I found this because there's other stuff like how far the range and what were the hesitations. I think they surveyed Europe, U.S.,
Nobody cares about Europe.
Japan. Yeah, true.
Yeah, they're gross.
They walk everywhere.
Yeah, hippies. All right. We're out of time. I now that we're at the end of this thing, I can say with confidence that I was nervous that we wouldn't have enough to talk about, and lo and behold, you guys are geniuses and came through in a clutch. So thank you. I thought that was a pretty good conversation. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you and you both did research. Thank you for pulling my butt out of the fire. So thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Jimmy. I am Craig. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you next week with something awesome as well. Have a great night.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.